Welcome, everyone, to the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. Appreciate you, as always, for joining us. It's Friday Fan Day. It's the day of the week that I look forward to the most doing this podcast because we bring on some rabid fans, fans who support the Burgundy and Gold, the Washington Commanders, as well as other teams. Last week, we had a fan from the Philadelphia Eagles join us. This week, I think we have a Bears fan joining us as well. So if you want to join us, regardless of what team you cheer for, because this thing is building up, it's going to be just an NFL-centric fan day. But if you want to come on, all you have to do is email me at thelakeLewisJr.show@gmail.com. Once again, it's thelakeLewisJr.show@gmail.com. Just email me and we will get back to you and get you on. So if you missed this week, obviously, next Friday is for you. So make sure you reach out to us and we'll get you on. Before we get into our fan day, I've got a great guest coming on with me. She's doing some great things in D.C., covering the Washington Commanders with myself. I see her out there practice every day as well, and she travels with the team, does just a phenomenal job. And I'm talking about Candi Waller. She's the president of Bowie TV in nearby Maryland. So if you don't know who she is, make sure you check her out. Make sure when you stay with us, when she comes back with us after the break, you will see what I'm talking about. I call her my little sis just because, I've seen her come up in the ranks and she's doing a wonderful job. So we'll bring her on when we come back from break. But as always, if you want to follow the program, it's very simple. You can subscribe to us on YouTube at the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. The channel on YouTube is Lake Lewis Jr. So it's very simple. It's just my name everywhere, folks. If you want to listen to us in audio form only, then you can subscribe to the podcast via Apple, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Google, you name it. The podcast is on there. So we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we'll have the first segment before we get into our fan day with all of our fans. We'll have Candi Waller on. So hang tight. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. Appreciate you joining us. And as promised, I'm going to bring in someone that I consider a good friend, but more like a little sister. She's doing some phenomenal things here in D.C., the president of Bowie TV. She's also on the beat for the Washington Commanders. And if you don't know, you need to follow her because she's one of the favorites, not just of myself, but can I say this, Candi? She's one of the favorites of Coach Dan Quinn and Adam Peters. And yeah, so wanted to bring her on and get her on here and get her take on the Washington Commanders offseason so far. So what's going on, Candi Waller? What's going on, Candi?
Nothing much, big bro. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I just been humming along here in the off season. Got some really good things coming up down the line that we're going to be talking about shortly. But I got to give you your flowers because you took this year by storm, and I'm really proud of you and everything that you've done.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate it. My journey has not been one of the smoothest of them all.
Right.
So I just thank you for that acknowledgement. I appreciate you for being right there along the way and helping me through it. I've had some highs and some lows, and you've been right there to kind of, definitely coach me through some of the adversity I've faced. So I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, this was a year for us that it seemed like, on the personal side, you see a lot of the fanfare and things like that. And then to cover a team that went to the NFC Championship game, I'm sure you didn't think that that was going to happen before the season started. But how has life changed for you now that people know that you are, one of the faces for Commanders Media?
I mean, it is. I mean, it's all. It's not like from worst to first all the way, but it's like
It's
from the,
close.
but it's close because the team being from worst on the NFLPA survey 32 to 11. I mean, we felt that. I felt that. I mean, you always say winning is good for everybody. Winning is good for business. They say that for the teams, but the same is very true for us as well as the media. Probably the last couple years, especially the year before, right? With the team only winning 4 games, I
Hmm.
think by Thanksgiving, we were trying to figure out what we gonna talk about. Like, who's gonna watch this? Who's gonna listen to this? And now it's like never ending. The request for shows, and not even the request for shows, it's just there was always something to talk about, but in a good way. And for me, I had never experienced this. I was like, well, wait a minute. Like I'm looking, normally the bad stuff just comes,
Yeah.
but now it was so many different storylines that were positive, and it was just like everybody was happy for
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
moment, right? I mean, I think the 3 game losing streak was a little like, but it largely his was just it was never ending. I think we talked about this during combine. I was like, I don't think I've stopped working, but it's not in a negative way. It was like everybody then wanted in on the Commanders, even at the station. I was like kind of ranting to you, like, people who were never even paying attention to the team. It was like, oh, what Dan Snyder doing today? Now it's nothing negative, and they're like, can I get a credential? No, you cannot. So it was just like,
Well, you make it look easy too. I mean, that's the thing. Like, people think that how many times have we said, people think that you and I and Donna and, the crew that's out there. Sorry if you're not part of the crew, but you're not. But I'm talking about my crew, my family out there. People think we're out there, drinking lemonade and, sipping on tea and stuff. They don't understand that it's a job. I mean, like it's
yes,
hard work and the hardest thing for a lot of journalists, and I'm sure you can appreciate this comment, is them making relationships with coaches and players. That's the easiest thing for us. And sometimes people don't like that because whatever, maybe they can't do it, but that's just what we do. And I think that that makes it enjoyable for us to be able to go out there and spend those long days.
yeah, no, I mean, I had to make a decision, and you know this, right? Because I normally cover the Wizards, and I said it. You heard me talking to you about it, David Aldridge about it. I was like, what am I going to do when the Wizard season started up? I'm like, I can't just be the beat. Like now,
Yeah,
I can no longer split my time.
you
My
can't.
time is spent in Ashburn. Period. Like that's
Well,
where I
w-
am.
with no offense to the Wizards,
No offense to the Wizards.
those are folks too, but
Absolutely.
I mean, we know who is kingpin in town. We know what trumps everything, and no pun intended with that, but it trumps that person too. If Washington's winning, and I think again, for us to be able to finally be able to cover a winning team, it's just going to get better, and it's only going to be like we've said before. Before we get into the actual team, that I think last year's team that went to the NFC Championship game, Candy, that's going to be the worst football team that Adam Peters ever fields. That's going to be the worst football team, excuse me, that Dan Quinn ever coaches, that Jaden Daniels ever takes a snap behind center from. No offense to those guys because they went to the NFC Championship game, but it's only going to get better from here on out.
Yeah, no, I think they, and that's one of the things that Dan Quinn told us at Combine, right? It was like last year, this time, he and Adam didn't really know the definition of a commander.
Mm-hmm.
And now we know, right? And
Yeah.
so you're exactly right. And that is absolutely no shade, like you said, to last year's team. They were phenomenal. Like, who would have thought? I was looking at some of the like highlights from last season, and I'm like, I can't even believe it still some days. But what they pulled together and
It
where they
was
went,
phenomenal.
like that's the bar. Like that's it. Like
Yeah.
anything less than that is an issue for these people, like a huge issue. That's it. That's the standard. Plus,
Well, you know what? You think about it. We say from a talent standpoint, it might be the worst team, but I don't know if they're ever going to have a closer and better culture in the locker room than they did last year. And I know Terry said it's a non-negotiable if you come here to Washington. So, for the Debo Samuel of the world and Laramie Tunsil of the world, and then also a guy like Will Harris, I think that was taken into consideration big time from Adam Peters as far as who is he going to bring in here? Who are they going to draft coming up next month? That they have to be able to fit the culture in the locker room. And you and I were in that locker room, almost on a daily basis. You were specifically, and just to be able to go in there and not feel like, can I really talk to this person, or this person doesn't want to talk to me? That was never the case. And I made it known, and you can back me up on this, having been out there. Jaden Daniels was in that locker room every day, chilling, joking, laughing. So it wasn't that typical, you didn't even know the quarterback was on the roster because they never showed their face in the locker room. Last year was something to behold, and hopefully they can duplicate that this year.
Absolutely. It's I was sharing with someone, I think it might have been Karita
Hmm.
Parks. That's
Hmm.
part of family too, but she's on the Raven side now, but
Absolutely.
that's family. But I shared with her, I said, Dan Quinn and Adam Peters, they foster a warm environment.
Yeah.
So when you walk in the building, you feel like you're part of this,
Hmm.
right? We're gonna take you back to like the Hail Mary game when I was like, coach, I don't want to tell you, I'm not trying to say I did it, but somebody was yelling, they yelled in the locker in the press box. And
There was a lot of people yelling in that press box
I
that
was
day.
like, and I'm not saying I was one of them, but and remember he was saying, he was like, hey, you guys are in this fight with us too. You better yell.
I
And I mean,
mean, yeah, and you know how we hear in there in the press box all the time, Candy. This is please remember, this is a working environment. No cheering is allowed. Screw that day. I mean, it was papers flying up in there because of what we saw. And actually, I think it happened again when they didn't win the game, but when Terry caught the pass against Dallas
oh
to,
yeah,
to come back to try to
yeah,
tie that, you just started realizing that we're in the midst of a magical run here. And when they lost in Philadelphia, we were there. That was tough, man, just because, for one, they played their worst game of the season on that day. But it was tough because, as Terry even said, you just knew that run was it was over at that point, and the magic that they had that season, it may not be something that you ever have in another season going forward.
right. I mean, no, I mean, I think we were talking, and this was when everybody got back from the last regular season game in Dallas, and we were all out there that week. And I might have been making a comment out loud, but not realizing, to your point, of who's in the locker room, and people are just talking, and sometimes they talk to you, right? Like,
Yeah,
come up, if
yeah,
you're in
yeah,
your own little world, somebody's gonna come up
yeah.
and be like, hello, good afternoon. Like, are you here with us? Like, you paying attention? And so I made a comment that I was like, it feels so weird not being here for locker room clean out day, because they were getting ready they were preparing for Tampa Bay in the wild card
Exactly.
weekend. And I'm not gonna say who the player was. They only heard me say locker room clean out. And they came up on the other side and was like, who cleaning their locker out? And it was like, it was like, I didn't say, I'm just
Hmm.
saying, I'm used to this, have already done locker room clean out day. Is this not locker room clean out day? They're like, oh, okay. And then nobody's cleaning their locker out anytime soon.
Yeah,
And
they just didn't
so
understand
they
that
didn't understand that
that
people
we
were
were so
like,
used to that.
exactly. It really was like,
I mean, let's be honest, sis. Those locker rooms were cleaned out in November. I
they
mean, I
were
mean, let's just be honest. The season was over before the halfway mark most of the time. So, just to be able
yeah.
to see that. Well, let's talk about this team now, because obviously 2025 is here, and we're a
Yeah.
couple weeks away from the draft and free agency. It's not over, but the heavy lifting is pretty much done as far as free agency. And I wanted to get your take on what would you give this team as far as a grade. Just so you know, I gave them a grade of an A last week, a solid A. And then I had some people tell me, well, you can't count Laramie Tunsil and Debo Samuel as part of free agency because they were trades and they weren't free agents. And I said, stop it. I mean, those moves were part of this, and they
Right.
go hand in hand. So what would you give this team grade wise?
I mean, definitely grade wise. I mean, I don't know if I would give him an A. I'm a little tough. I'm a little
You
pessimist.
are.
I would give it. You said you are.
You are.
I would be finding reasons to be mad when they were winning. Something to be angry about. But anyway, but I was giving them a B plus.
Okay.
That's better for me,
I
right?
mean, that's look. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't even think you were gonna give them that. I was thinking Candy gonna come up in here and drop a C on these jokers. But no, a B plus is good. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Right, a B plus. I was like, I'm gonna give him a B plus. But it's just, and I mean, it's probably just from me being like, well, I don't know what they did. What I will say this, I can say I feel confident. I mean, it goes back to what you just said, that this may be the worst team that they've
Hmm.
had. That's not saying that the team was bad at all, because that team was phenomenal.
We just mean from a
But
sheer talent grade. That's all.
exactly,
Hmm.
exactly. So I think that where I probably didn't get the A is because I still don't know about the defensive line. I think they made some great moves on the defensive line, but I'm just still kind of like not real sure if it's what the output is going to be, right? There's still some
Yeah.
outliers there. Even though Johnny Newton's got to have a great season this year,
Yeah.
or Javon Kinlaw and others that they added, that's great. But it's like, is this going to look the same, or is this really going to be different? That's the only reason why I gave him the B plus instead of an A. But other than that, I
Well,
think, yeah,
I was going to say, not to cut you off, but let me say this.
yeah.
Can it get any worse? And I mean that with all due respect, because I wasn't a big John Allen guy. I'm gonna say it.
Oof,
Um, just as far as the money that was being paid,
that's
compared to the production. Not saying John was a bad football player. He's a really good football player. The problem is he wasn't paid to be a really good football player. He was paid to be disruptive and dominant, and we didn't see that consistently. So I think this is the moves that were made, Candy, are kind of like the sum of all parts together to kind
yeah,
of get, 3 for 1. So what you can get from three guys is the production of a sheer starter. Maybe
mhm,
that's the way they're looking at it. Or maybe what they're doing is they're bringing in all these veterans who are hungry to get, to the big show. That maybe that's the hunger in them, because some of these guys have already made their money and things like that, and
mhm.
possibly to be tutors and mentors to the guys that they're going to draft coming up.
Right. And not only that, I really think that and make sure I'm getting this accurate.
Hmm.
Moves that they did I'm gonna tell you some underrated moves though, that is really like, I probably should have given it like an A minus or just like an A, but it
Okay.
really
Okay.
impressed me.
Okay.
It was Dietrich Wise and Jonathan Jones.
Huge
Huge.
additions.
Those
Huge.
moves are huge. Why? Because going back to the veteran pedigree and the caliber, we're talking about some more Super Bowl champions in the room that understands what it takes
Yep.
to get to that next level and to play at that level, get through a conference championship game,
Yep.
ultimately to a Super Bowl and win. Those two moves are highly underrated, and I don't hear enough of local media or national media talking about that, especially with Dietrich Wise. Going back to another thing that we noticed about this front office, this leadership team, Dan Quinn and Adam Peters,
Hmm.
how they always look at people who are captains on their team.
Absolutely. That guy was the Walter Payton Man of the Year for them,
All of
for
that
the Patriots last
last
year.
year.
So they definitely are
They
getting
get
a
it.
high character guy, and that's
Yep.
again, you and I, when we were in Indianapolis for the combine, it was interesting because I remember seeing the young kid, and I've mentioned this on several shows. So if you've heard the story, great, but I remember the kid James Pierce, when he ran his 40, and it was electric for a defensive lineman to run a 4.4 40. That was amazing. But I'm gonna have this vision in my head forever, Candy. When he turned around to come back, there were other players who hadn't run yet, or who were, stretching, getting ready for when they were getting ready to go. They were running up to him and to congratulate him, to chest pump him. They were like uber excited for him, for what he just did. And he was just kind of like high fiving and walking through them, like not stopping to acknowledge. It hit me like, come on, man, like share your moment with some of these guys. They're trying to hype you up. And I was sitting next to Cortland, your guy Cortland Griffin, and
Yeah.
Cortland said, "Well, you do know that that's kind of the grumblings about this kid, is that character issues." And I was like, wow, it's amazing what your own eyes see. So I say this because everyone kept telling me, oh, James Pierce is going to be the target for the Commanders. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's a great player. If you look at his tape of Tennessee, he's disruptive. He's fast. He kind of reminds me of a young Javon Curse, but I just know Adam and Dan, and that's not the if there's any inkling of character issues, he will not be a Washington Commander. I can
No,
assure you that.
not at all. And I mean, and when you talk about, the the other players coming up to him and high-fiving him, trying to chest bump him, congratulate him on his performance. That's all we saw this team do was get hyped for one another.
For each other,
For
exactly.
each other. I mean, they would be, I'd never seen anybody. It was like they were turning into fans. It's like
Yeah.
they were fans of one another. And it's no better example of that than Jaden Daniels himself cheering on Marcus Mariota at the end of that. I mean, he was like a kid watching a game, watching his favorite quarterback when he was just hollering and yelling and laughing and just
Yeah.
it's like he's so happy. And he really genuinely, that's how they are with each other.
And that's the reason why Marcus came back, because people kept saying, why would he come back when he could have hit the open market? And I'm like, well, first of all, duh, let's think about this one. Cliff Kingsbury's back. And we all know if they have another amazing year like we're expecting them to, Cliff might be on the way out,
Yeah.
to getting a head coaching job, deservingly so. But who would you want to run your offense? Well, you're clearly not going to have Jaden. So you
Right.
want Marcus Mariota to come with you. And so I think that they would be kind of a package deal. Don't want to talk too far ahead because I know Cliff loves being here, loves
Yeah.
coaching Jaden, loves everything. Matter of fact, not just Cliff, all of the coaches, Candy, they've told us these things like,
Yes.
this is the place to be. This is where they've wanted to be. And some of them did turn down coaching jobs to join other new coaches' staffs. I can assure you that. I was told that by one in particular. They don't want to go anywhere. Why would you want to go anywhere when you have this young phenom in the making that has the potential to be a face of the league in a year or two? Realistically, a face of the league. So, this is where everything is right now. So for all of our viewers right now, and if you're listening right now as well, I have Candi Waller on, my little sister, doing some great stuff covering the Washington Commanders and the DC sports scene in general. And, we're breaking down the Commanders as far as their grade, their free agent grade. Candy, but before we wrap things up, I do want to get your thoughts on the draft. Do you feel like this team's picking for the best player available on the board because they're picking at 29? It's not like they're picking at 2 like last year. Or do you feel like there's specific need that they have to address, with that 29th pick?
It's so interesting. And it's like 29.
Can you believe it?
What are we gonna be doing on draft night? Because I'm gonna be like, well, what do you do when you pick in the 20s? Now that's an area where I had to ask Karina's advice. Like, well, what do you do? Because the Ravens,
They
they do
always pick
that
the
over there.
last three, four picks every year.
And Judy's like, I was doing some other work till about 22, and I looked up and I'm like, dang, that's crazy. Like,
I mean, and I asked, like, are we going to Green Bay? Like, I don't. I mean, this one, no offense to Green Bay. No, I don't want to go there. But this year was like, man, would I be on assignment? I might, something else is happening. But could I be on assignment with another team somewhere? Or if I have to choose between Green Bay and just being back in the Washington media room this year, I'm going to be in the media room. Like,
yeah,
I did Detroit last year. It was great. But Green Bay?
because the 29th pick is, I mean, unless something really bizarre happens, the draftee, they're not even there. It's only a select few that gets the invite to go, and those are typically those that are thinking they're going to go top 10 or at least top 15, but that's it.
And so you have no clue this year. And it also means we're not picking until 12, like midnight.
Right.
Oh my
It's very
God.
late. No, he will be there for like picture purposes early, before it's like, yeah, I get a seat, and it's like 29.
Yeah, I know, right?
But you mentioned James Pierce, and I'm glad you brought up the conversation around the character thing. We talked about that at Combine, but also it becomes because they already been trading away picks. And that was one of my hot takes from the offseason. I'm like, they're gonna trade some of these picks to get a veteran that is a fit right now
Yeah.
for this Commanders locker room and this Commander standard. And the thing about that is what we learned last year is that they are drafting for players to start. So I'm looking at a couple different things from this draft. Who they draft last year, if they weren't ready last year, they better be ready this year. because
100%.
they're not drafting for development purposes. They're drafting for you better be ready to start and play football or be a key depth piece. So it makes me wonder, like, I'm assuming they're using these picks and not going to do something on draft night. I'm gonna make an assumption that they are, but I would still think maybe best available D line. I think impact running back, if there's one available, would not be a bad thing. I
Yeah, I
think it's
think they're going to be
necessary.
two. I think Candy, I think they're going to be two available at 29. I think Travion Henderson from Ohio State could be there. And I think the kid Grant, from Kenneth Grant from Michigan, D lineman, I think he could be there. Derek Harmon from Oregon might be there. So they still can get a really good quality football player that, like you said, that will start for this team. Um, but this is where in Adam you trust, because we've never had this kind of competent, management.
Adam might just be chilling. Like, I'm just gonna wait to see what everybody else do.
I mean, the 29th pick in the past, if they would have never been in this situation. But let's just say they did have the 29th pick in the draft, they probably would take a quarterback, man. Just
Oh
no
gosh,
clue what they were doing.
no clue. Adam and then probably like, the world is our oyster. We are back and picking
They-
at 29.
so
They'll be
so
chilling.
can I tell this story about what was it, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago,
Oh,
when
I
we
already
walked.
know what you're gonna say.
Folks, y'all have to hear this one. Just so you know, my sister and me, man, we laugh, like literally, and then Auntie Donna. I mean, they're family to me, literally. So we laugh, we
There's a
have a
lot.
good time, man. We sometimes you have to keep your sanity. I lost my hair covering this team. If Adam and Dan were here, I probably have the full fade and everything still. So a couple years ago, draft night, we're in the media room, and things were just, Washington needed a corner in the worst way that year. Everyone knew that was a position of need. And they had several, but that was clearly one, because the guys that were playing corner at that time were walking fire hydrants, to the dogs that they were covering. And you already know what I mean by that. So we're
Mhm.
sitting there, and Christian Gonzalez, All American, the guy from Oregon. And I'm like, man, he's a monster, sitting right there. The kid Banks, locally from Maryland, who they had come in and visit and everything. He's sitting there, and I'm like, they can't go wrong. They're gonna get a dog. They're gonna get one or the other. And it was, what was it, the 14th pick or something?
I think they're 16 that year.
16th, with the 16th pick in the NFL draft, the Washington Commanders select, and we were like, "Is one of them who we were, torn on who it's going to be, because you had a local kid and then you had a monster in the making." And they said Emmanuel Forbes, and you looked at me, and I looked at you. Donna looked at us, and we were like, "Who in the hell is Emmanuel Forbes?" No offense to Emmanuel Forbes, because Emmanuel's a nice kid. I cheered for him to turn it around and do well, because he's a really nice kid. But that just goes to show you. And then in the second round, I love Quan. That's our dude. I'm glad he's on the team. But you took two guys that I don't think they fit your scheme and what you were trying to do. And it was just a sad look, man. I mean, it just, that right there, it showed us everything. Like, we couldn't believe it that night. And I just remember your face. Your chin hit the desk.
I was upset because remember, I think we were like talking and chit chat, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, Christian Gonzalez is dropping! Oh my gosh!" I started
They're
like,
gonna get him.
yes, I was like, yes, I was like, "Oh my god!" Because remember, it was like he was falling. I think they were
Yes.
projecting him to go like in the top 10 or something.
Top 10 to be the first corner taken off the board.
Yeah,
It was between him and the kid Witherspoon at the
Witherspoon,
time. Yep.
between him and
Yep.
Witherspoon.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And he started falling, and I was like, no way. I was like, Ron Rivera is getting a gift. Oh my gosh. And yeah, they said email. We were like, but for real, it was, I think it was us, but it was the whole
Oh, it
league.
was everybody. It
Like,
was everybody. But I just mean my media family around me. It was Man, I mean, if it was some wine on the table that night, everybody would have had a pour that
Need to
night
drink
because
that.
it was crazy. Just that's the world we live in, and I know we come on here and we laugh and we try to let people know that we love what we do. Like we wouldn't trade what we do for anything. And we put a lot of work and hard effort and sweat and tears into this, and deal with egos, not just the players, but sometimes people in our room with us. We deal with that too. But it's always nice to know that the person that I'm on here with right now has the respect of the people that it matters. The fact that you have the respect of the head coach, the GM. It's nice to know that we can be away in Indianapolis and get fist pumps and hugs. And I'm gonna say it. I ain't see anybody else getting it. So I'm just saying we're doing something right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's hard work. It's hard work.
Mhm.
Relationship building is part of what anybody does when you want to do good business, right? And building trust.
But I see you being quiet over there though. So I mean, yeah, now, I'm gonna say it for you. The fact that the head coach will fist pump you. The fact that he will refer to you by your first name. That's called respect, and that's something that you've worked for. Nobody gave you that at all. So that's why I say when I'm proud of you, and the fact that when that GM comes over and bear hugs me, I don't take that lightly. That tells me that I'm doing something right, and so we just gonna keep doing that and having fun with it.
Yep, and having fun with it. And I think once people see that, and
Hmm.
then the coaches see it, the players see it, they know, because they are like a unit,
Hmm.
so they all kind of move the
Well,
same.
we've already been told they see it, so come on now. You
Yeah.
you are
They-
we I remember a specific conversation. And it was like, man, I didn't even believe that. That's why I came to y'all. That's why you two,
right.
and you went and
That is
cleared
true.
something up. They
Yeah.
know what's going on, and I don't take that lightly. But at the same time, for years, you and I, we would, we're so used to keeping our heads down, doing things.
Yep.
But I'm gonna tell you this, and hopefully you take this with you as far as you go, because you're going far in this business. My parents used to tell me all the time, keep your head down at all times. And even when you ascend to where you want to go and your head is down, you're still seeing people. You're seeing the people looking up at you who couldn't believe you did what you did. So remember that.
I will.
Yeah, keep your head down. You never have to lift it up. You're doing your job, but the people who will see you, they'll see you while you're still keeping your head down, but that means you're ascending. So, look, sis, I appreciate you coming on today. We got to do this more often, share these little stories, and it won't be in Green Bay. I can tell you that though.
Not for the 29th. The 29th pick not gonna be there. The 20, but if you go to Green Bay, the 29th pick will probably be back in Ashburn before you trying to get
Yeah.
back. You know what I
So
mean?
we got to start figuring out what we'll have for dinner, because it's going to be late.
It's gonna be
So
late.
what can we have delivered out there, in the media room? We'll have to figure that out. But
That's Chef Carnival.
I think you
Oh,
think
it's a
he'll cook for us.
Thursday. It's a Thursday.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, well, yeah, that kind of like helps,
I
cement
don't
everything.
know, but I'm just assuming. I'm trying
Just,
to
I
make
mean, it makes sense. I mean,
sense.
they're here. I'm listening. They're probably listening. So, yeah, Chef Connor, make sure you hook us up on Thursday night, draft night up there.
Draft
No
night
no
for that
pizza,
29th
none of
pick.
that. Yeah, no
That
pizzas.
29th pick. We gotta be,
Exactly.
well fed for the 29th pick.
Seafood, something good, man. So, all right. Well, look, my friend, I appreciate you coming on today, and we got to get you on more often, and as this thing keeps building and picking up steam, definitely want to have you on. So, where can everyone check out all your great work, Candy?
Thank you so much for having me on. This is a
No
blast.
worries, no
Every time
worries.
we get together, it is a lot of laughs. We have
It's comedy day.
it's comedy day. Now we definitely watching. We paying attention, but we gonna throw a few jokes in there too. Because one day we got to come back and talk about the training camp, watching that kicking competition. I be talking about that. And I be like, man.
I mean, oh my goodness gracious. That was like, man, like Yeah, I don't even want to go into that, man. That
Right,
was
right.
some Helen Keller stuff right there.
They think it's true somehow. That's how you know Adam Peters is a genius.
Yes,
Because I
absolutely.
definitely didn't think they were going to recover from that.
Absolutely.
Like
I
this
mean,
is it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
We'll take it. We'll take it. I mean, we talking about lucky things happening. I mean, you had a kick doinking, in the playoffs. I mean, to
yeah,
get the
that.
dub. I mean, just you. There was a magical season, and I know there are fans out there saying, "Candy, oh well, they could have lost 6 games because of the way they won them at the end."
Yeah,
But they outplayed Pittsburgh. Probably should have beat Pittsburgh. Probably should
yeah.
have won that Dallas game, where they missed the extra point. So I say this to you: they could have won 2 more games than they won
Man.
last year. So come on now, if you want to talk about that, let's be fair about it. So yeah. So anyway,
A few things, but everyone can follow me on X at Seawall SE. You can subscribe to the Bowie TV YouTube channel as well. That's primarily where everything is. And if you're in the Bowie, Maryland area and surrounding areas, have not cut your cable, you can find the channel on Verizon on channel 11 and Comcast Xfinity channel 77. So,
awesome,
not hard to
awesome.
find.
Awesome. Awesome. Folks, check her out. She's doing it. She's doing a great job. And just one of the best people. So again, I'm always going to promote her and always push her to be the best because she's ascending to that trajectory. So look, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, you guys know what time it is. It's Friday Fan Day. And this is the day where every fan, if you want to come on, all you have to do is reach out and we get you on. It's going to be a lot of fans when we come back. So we've got to remaining big part of our show. So hang tight and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. And it's Friday Fan Day. You know what time it is. It's when we bring on some of the biggest supporters, not just of the Washington Commanders, even though it is a commander-centric show, but we bring in fans from other teams. And we have a new guest today who's joining Brad Ostrowski, who's actually my neighbor. So he's a big Bears fan, and I told him I wanted to get him on the show. And of course we've got some familiar faces in here. So some of these guys are starting to become part of the fabric of this Friday show. And then we've got some new people in here who've reached out, and hopefully they see that I'm a man of my word. I told you if you wanted to come on, just reach out and we will get you on. So if you two are watching right now and you want to come on to this broadcast, all you have to do is email me at the Lake Lewis Jr. Show at gmail.com. Simple as that. And we will get you a link to get you on. And this thing's growing. If you can't come on, in particular Friday, just let me know. We'll get you on. So once you get the link, it's open for you to come in at any time. So without further ado, how you guys doing? How's everybody hanging out?
Great, man.
Well, man.
All right, appreciate you coming on. We got people from all over the country on here. DJ's in here now. So yeah, it's starting to build back up. My dude down there in Georgia. And then we got Brad over here who Brad Jones is in Detroit. Yeah, man, we've got some people scattered all around here. And then we have a Bears fan in here today, folks. So be kind. You already know how it goes. So I want to start with some of our new faces in here. And Brad, one of my neighbors, he's a Bears fan. He's from Chicago, folks. So you gotta respect that. I don't like when people are from an area and they root for teams from other cities. It just doesn't make sense to me. So for Brad being from Chicago. Let's throw something out to him today. Before I do that, though, real quick, I just want to let everyone know I have a poll that we're going to pull up on here for you, and you can answer it. You don't have to, but you can answer it. But you're going to have to be able to maneuver on your phone or your laptop or whatever you have going on. And then also somebody's got a loud mic on in there somewhere, so we got to keep that down just a tad. There we go. All right, so we'll do the poll in a second, but let's start with Brad. I just wanted to get his take because, like I said, he's a Bears fan, and I remember he asked me a couple weeks into the season. He saw we taking out the trash, and he was like, do you think the Bears have buyer's remorse? And I want to ask you that as a Bears fan, do you have buyer's remorse, or do you feel like Caleb's going to turn it around?
Well, before I answer that question, I just need to acknowledge something. This is very difficult for me because, I think about the Bears and the Commanders last year. That was a very traumatic experience for Bears fans. I think the Hail Mary that ended the game rattled off 10 consecutive losses for the Bears after they had a winning record to start the season. And so I had to get that off my chest. So maybe this is a bit of therapy for me too. So I appreciate the opportunity, Lake. But to answer your question, from a buyer's remorse perspective, am I envious? Yes. I think time will tell. Obviously, I think both teams are set up for, years, if not decade plus of success at the quarterback position. And so, I don't think they have any regrets per se, but I think, drafting Jaden at 1 overall, he would not be in the situation he is today, right? And so he would not be set up for success. And so they would be continuing to try and build around a stud young quarterback. And so time will tell. Happy for both teams. Definitely Bears number 1, but if the Bears are out of the picture, then you get a few votes for me on the Commander side of things.
Okay. All right. See, this is why I say, if you're a fan of another team and you want to come in here, they're not going to kill you. I mean, these guys they're good men. I will say that. You guys are good men, and you respect the other fans as long as they don't come in here talking silly. Like we did have last week, we had an Eagles fan on, and he was talking silly for a while, but at the very end of the show, he came flat out and said, yeah, he's worried about the Commanders. So, I mean, being realistic. So let's do this as we always do. And then we're going to get into this poll for you guys. What I like to do, guys, if you're just joining us, is I will call your name out and you'll have the floor to answer. Just be mindful. We don't want to go overboard here. So try to keep your answers to 30 seconds or so. And then, later on, we'll open it up. So whoever just chimes in, the way this thing is set up, it's going to pick up the first person that answers anyway. So let's get right into it. My question is to kind of fall back on what Brad was saying. Herb, do you feel like Caleb Williams will be exactly what people thought he was going to be, or are you a little worried?
Well, speaking from a place of where like he actually is family adjacent to me, I'm going to go ahead and say he's going to be okay. And it's not a biased situation. I'm talking about my issue with him is him trying to play hero ball. Go along with what the better coaches who you had. You didn't have a good coaching staff last year.
Yeah,
should have got rid of the whole entire coaching staff and the front office before he even got here. So I think in a better circumstance, yes, he will be better. He shows signs of it. It's just that when you're playing hero ball with not a good enough team, the offensive line needs to get better. The receiver should have been better. I think Swift is still good enough.
Okay.
But I think in all, he should be okay. But it's going to take some time. You got to see what they pick up in the draft. So that's what I think.
Okay. And something I'm adding today to the show, folks, is that naturally, it's not your fault, Herb. I'm just saying. I'm gonna put a 30-second watch up for you guys, so get it in and get it out. But so let's move on. Alfonso, what's going on, man? Appreciate you coming on.
No problem, fam. Good to be here, man. Hey, listen, Lake. I would say he will be successful. I believe that he was set up to not be coming into last year. Chicago, in my opinion, should have just revamped everything.
Yeah,
get rid of the head coach, and just start from a fresh start. Give him a fresh start, similar like what Jaden had, and he would have been set up to be successful, in my opinion.
Okay.
But I think he will be okay. I think he would do okay.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. And it's easier for me to just go through as I see on the list. So Brad, you're up. Brad Jones.
I think he'll be all right. He got a better offensive minded coach. But playing hero ball, that's who he was coming out of college. So
yeah.
Once
even in high school, he did the same.
Yeah, you just want to be a hero. So I think with the proper coaching, I don't know if Ben Johnson is the man in the locker room. I'm from Detroit. And Brad Ostrowski, I'll just say your therapy session, we've been needing therapy for 20 years, brother. So, but yeah, to your answer, your question, I think he'd be okay.
Okay. All right, Darian.
Hey man, like of course I appreciate you for having me on, but I
Appreciate
think
it.
it's Jaden's fault. And I'm gonna tell you why. Jaden played at a remarkable pace last year, more than any rookie ever. And I think he set a lot of guys up for failure because before the Bears played us, Caleb was doing well. And if you look at the numbers, Caleb didn't have a bad season. He just had a rookie. He had his first year, he was a rookie. So I think Jaden really set the bar really high for himself, along with guys coming behind him. That it's going to take a lot for them to try to succeed. But I do believe Caleb will be successful. He's a great player. He's from here. And I think the Bears are doing their best to try to put some pieces around him.
All right, good stuff. Tony, what you got?
Yeah, man. Like when you're the number one overall pick in the draft, you're generally going to be drafted into a dysfunctional situation off top. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Jaden kind of fell into the exact right place with Cliff, who's a quarterback genius, and Marcus, who was able to mentor him along the way. And Caleb didn't really have that. I mean, we'll see what Ben Johnson can do. I mean, he's a quarterback genius too, from what I'm hearing. But how much can he really pay attention to Caleb when he's the head coach? He can only do so much. But yeah, Caleb's all right to me, man. Like I feel like he was thrown to the fire kind of, and like Darian said, man, Jaden set the bar like really, really high, impossibly for these guys to be able to meet that standard, man. So I think no panic, Caleb's gonna be all right.
All right, and then I got my little bro in here, DJ. What's going on, man? What you got?
What's up, guys? I tell you, the Bears will like the Giants are going to be this year. Coaching staff, terrible. GM, terrible. I don't blame Caleb. The only thing I want from Caleb is I need a little bit more of leadership. I can't have you pouting like a 5-year-old on the sideline because you're not winning. And I understand the passion, but it's the optics of how it looks. And when your head's hung down and you're dejected, well, guess what? Everybody else on that team is going to do the exact same thing. So I need you to be a big boy. Show some leadership. There's nothing wrong with being angry about not being where you want to be, but let's not pout.
Okay, good stuff. All right, Zell, what's up, man? You're on mute, Zell. You're on mute.
Still on mute. Can y'all hear me?
There we go.
All right. Thank you for having me, man.
No worries.
It's a combination of everything, man. Like how everybody said, it's not all on Caleb. You know what I'm saying? He was going into a bad situation, before the season started, so was Jaden. You know, it's really more of the comparing of him and Jaden, in my opinion. But I think he's gonna be fine overall. I mean, he's a rookie at the same time, so he got a lot of time to develop under Ben Johnson, and they're gonna get it together.
Okay, all right, Kelvin, appreciate you joining. First time. What's going on? You're on mute. There we go.
Indeed. My man Lake, how you feel? You good?
I'm good, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, just like you said earlier in the beginning, to send you an email. You hit me back like 5 minutes later. I was like, it's pretty good customer service down here. But yeah, man, I'm happy to talk football. To answer the question, I do believe that Caleb will be fine. Yes, it does. Jaden's success, his rookie record-breaking success did make Caleb, in comparison, because comparison is the thief of joy, made him not look as super. Yeah, I also think it's a combination of the front office, the coaching, but on the positive side, one of many reasons why I think Caleb will be fine is because they're spending money to shore up certain spots to make sure he can thrive and learn. So I think he's gonna be all right.
Good points. They definitely spent money on that offensive line for sure. We're talking about some all-pro guys, so that's a good look for them. Jay, what's going on, man? Appreciate you coming on. Another first-timer. How you been?
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me, Lake.
No worries.
But I think he's going to be okay, but that bar that Jaden and also Bo Nick set is really a high mark. Like, down the line, he's going to be okay, but he was given, Roma Doomsday and Keenan Allen. He had better weapons, but that O-line did really hurt them. But they're trying to build it. So are we. But Jada set such a high standard. and Jaden's demeanor and just that leadership is taking him, light years,
Okay.
Then I knew he was going to do it, but just everybody really liked Caleb's aura, just that playground style, But we really got the right guy for us, But he's going to be okay, but he's not fine.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. And then Eric, what's up, man? Appreciate you coming on too.
Thanks, Lex. Thanks for having me, man. Really appreciate you, man, inviting me on and everything. Good to chop it up with some Commanders family. It's hard to find y'all out here in Nebraska, so yeah. To get to your question, man, I feel like Caleb's gonna be fine. I mean, clearly he got the talent. I mean, very talented individual. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little disappointed because, I mean, if you give Jaden Rome Odunze and DJ Moore and Keenan Allen and Cole Kmet, my gosh, man, the Bears probably lost like 2 games last year. If that. I felt like he would, that's why a lot of people picking him to make the playoffs last year. Some going to the Super Bowl. So he did underachieve, and, I was expecting a lot more from him. But that being said, I do believe that the kid's very talented. I feel like the addition of the new coach from Detroit, Ben Johnson, is going to be great for him, and he's going to be fine. He's going to be fine.
Okay. Well, I do want to say this too, just give my little take on this is that I know we all keep going back to, if he had Rome Odunze, who was the 10th pick in the draft, and you had Keenan Allen, and then you had, slot receiver from Maryland, who's phenomenal, and DJ Moore. You would think naturally you would think that naturally they would be putting up numbers and doing things. However, the difference between him and Jaden, not so much from a talent standpoint, because Caleb's uber talented as well. It was the structure that's what some of you said. It was, he was set up to fail from the very beginning because everyone knows that the coach, was on the hot seat. And Brad, you and me had talked about that. It was kind of like, you can look at it in NBA terms. You draft a top draft pick. Normally they're going to a bad team. And that coach who's going to coach that guy probably won't be around for long if they don't have instant success. And we saw that in Chicago. So the only thing that I'm concerned about with Caleb right now is Ben Johnson's system is set up to not have a superstar quarterback. It's just not. It's set up to be, it's a timing system. It's get the ball out the quarterback's hand and into the playmakers. Caleb is the playmaker in his mind. So that's the only concern that I have about Caleb. But I think from a tool standpoint, and he's a bright kid, he's a good kid. Chicago got the right pick. They did. I mean, for what they wanted, for what they needed at the time, it just Jaden's ascendance just made everyone look at all the other guys like, man, what's going on here? But I think every team should be happy with those rookie quarterbacks. New England should be happy with Drake May. Bo Nix, you should be happy if you're in Denver. Michael Penix and Atlanta. I mean, all JJ McCarthy, he's basically, they let Sam Darnold go from Minnesota because of him. So I think that this draft class in particular with Caleb and Jaden, it's going to be a nice little thing for the league to be able to promote them. So with that said, we're going to try something here. I'm getting ready to share something with you guys, not like information, but just something on the screen. And with that said, I'm going to show you something and you tell me what you think. Okay. So you guys see that on your screen?
Mm-hmm.
All right. You see that number 1 up there, right? All right. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to scroll through here. And this is my top 10 Washington Commanders most invaluable players list. Okay.
All
right. So starting off right there, number 1. Number 2 is Terry McLaurin. Number 3, Laramie Tunsil. Yes, a new face. Okay. Number 4, Bobby Wagner. All right. Number 5, Frankie Louvu. Number 6, Marshawn Lattimore. Number 7, Debo Samuel. And everybody sees this, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Number 8, Zach Ertz. Number 9, Brian Robinson. And number 10, Mikey Sainristil. All right. So with that said, because I know some of you are like, wait a minute, where's Sam Cosmi? The reason why I didn't have Sam Cosmi on there was because he's injured and we really don't know in particular when he'll be back. Okay. But we all know from Invaluable, he's clearly one of those top commanders. Probably would have been up to number 5 for me if he wasn't injured. So the question I have is, let's talk about this for a little bit. And Brad, you know your stuff too. You kind of can figure this out. And we'll get back to some Bear stuff in a second too. So we'll go back around, start with Kelvin. Do you find anything wrong on this top 10 list? Or is there someone that you probably would have put on this list that isn't on there?
Thank you for asking me. I was writing down my list as soon as while you were scrolling. I would put Lattimore on there, being as though
he's on there. He's on there. He was at number 6. Yes.
I'll just read off my list if that's cool.
Okay, go ahead.
We'll have some changes from ranking. Was that based on ranking or no particular order?
No, I was ranking.
That was ranking, right?
Yeah, I was ranking.
JD,
yes.
You said JD first. You said Terry second.
Yeah.
I definitely got Tunzel third, Lattimore fourth. I got Wagner. Tunzel third. I got Wagner fourth, Lattimore fifth.
Okay.
Louisville sixth, Debo 7th.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't finish the list after that. But so yeah, that's what I got.
That's good stuff because that's my list actually.
Is it the same? It's different rankings. Different rankings.
Yeah, so that's not bad. Not bad. Yeah. Alfonso, you don't have to give us a full ranking, but just like if you feel like somebody's left off the list that you would have put on there, is there anybody you would have put on there, Alfonso? Or are you good with that?
Your list, man, to me is pretty spot on. The only thing I was probably giving honorable mention to was maybe Eckler and possibly Jeremy Reeves, because I know Jeremy Reeves played on special teams, but he's a centerpiece there too as well. So other than that, yeah, I think it's a great list.
Good stuff. And I'll say this, Tressway is my dude, but we're not doing that now because the reason why I say that, no offense to Tress, years past, whenever I was asking people for the top 5 commanders, Tressway was always on my top 5 list. If your punter is one of your 5 best players, you got problems. You have problems. So they don't need to do that now. So no offense to Tress, he might be 12, 13, but not you can't put your punter in your top 10. You just can't. So all right. So Brad Jones, you're up.
I like your list. I can't really disagree with it, but I think as an honorable mention, I would put Kinlaw on there because Adam Peters and Quinn see the potential in him. Mm-hmm. And if they can get his potential to rise to the top, he might be impactful. And he's going to be needed too. So, and the eye's going to be on him with that contract.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think your list is great, but I would add him as honorable mention.
Okay. All right. Darian?
Lake, I love the list. But I really think Deron Payne needs to be on that list. And I'm going to tell you why.
That's fair. He literally was 11. So just so you know.
I think now he's going to be super motivated to kind of set apart from what he's been previously. He's out of the shadows of John Allen. He's kind of his own thing. And I think people have questions. Yeah. People have questions about who he is as a player, right? Is he one of those guys that will deserve another contract, or is he just going to be one of the guys that was left over by the previous regime? So I think this year he'll have an opportunity to kind of really set himself apart, really show the rest of the league and the rest of the fan base who he really is.
Okay. All right. And real quick, before we continue this, just want everyone to know, because I don't want Brad sitting in here, Brad Ostrowski sitting in here thinking this is all Commanders. No, we're going to come back to another question. And the question is, and if you've already answered the past question, you can probably start writing your stuff down. The question is, where would you re-rank last year's rookies quarterback class, like in order, So I'll give you something to think about while the other people answer this current question. So Tony, you're up.
Okay. I like your list, man, but there's 2 things that I would do differently. All right. I would move Marshawn up the list a little bit. Marshawn Lattimore.
Man, you and me are both high on Marshawn. I can tell you that. I think he got such a despicably bad rap last year. That guy's a dog.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. Like, with a full offseason to get healthy under his belt, with a full training camp to get more acclimated to the offense. I think his attitude that he brings to the secondary and his ability to now I'm not going to say shut down. Maybe he's past that point in his career, maybe, but to be a problem for the other team's number ones is going to really help the whole defense as a whole.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And the other thing, man, I would find a place for Tyler Biadasz on that list because when he was out of the game, when he was out of the lineup, and when he was not healthy but playing anyway, it really showed on the field in the running game. Him calling out the protections and all that. Like we had guys doing that aren't really used to doing that, and it really showed on the field, and it created a problem, man. So I think he's a really, really important part of our team.
Okay. All right, DJ.
Like the list, honestly. I probably would maybe. It's hard to put anybody in place of where you had him because I agree with all of it. You know, Zach Ertz could probably be another one that was critical last year, and I think will be critical this year. But it's hard to put him over anybody else who's in that list. And I agree with you. I think Marshawn got a bad rap, and he's not past that shutdown, Tony. I seen him here in the NFC South, covering the NFC South. He's still got it. Good thing is he's with a team that has a very good, training staff. They're going to get him right, and he should be ready to go this year.
Okay. All right. Zell.
Hey, man, I like your list. I like your list. It's probably very similar to my list. The only three things that I got is Zach Ertz definitely got to be somewhere in the top 5. He was critical when we needed to play. Zach Ertz came through. Eckler got to be somewhere around 8, 9 before he got injured. He was up there as our leading receiver for a few games this past season. So, excuse me. So he got to be on there. And Kinlaw probably like honorable mention, only because the vision that I see with Kinlaw next season, they're going to rely on him a lot to do a lot of different things.
A whole lot.
He's going to be very crucial to our defensive success, especially stopping the run. So.
Okay. It sounds like some of y'all would be leaning towards having Austin Eckler on my list as opposed to B-Rob. Is it safe to say that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I figured that. That's why they're going to draft a running back. But anyway, Eric, you're up.
Okay. Your list is really good, man. Definitely like your list. One thing I'll say, Dorrance Armstrong is the main DN that we really attached to. We need somebody to get after this quarterbacks this year, man. I mean, as far as the guys we got now, he's the guy I got the most faith in to be able to maybe try to up what he did last year. I know he didn't do a lot, but I see a lot more potential in that kid. Only be his second year starting, so I'm really looking for him to have a bounce back year this year as far as more production from Dorrance this year, because we really need somebody to get out to the quarterback. We got a lot of run stoppers. We got a lot of run stoppers, but we ain't got nobody to get out the quarterback really, man. So really depending on Dorrance. I know we're gonna probably draft the guy, but just talking about the guys we got at this point right now. So Dorrance an honorable mention for me.
Okay. All right. Jay?
I like the list, and I watched the video early this week.
So thank you.
I was, already on it. But I would say, since we have a lot of issues with our D line, I would definitely add DP to the list, and we got to show Tyler a lot more love because our backup, everybody know, we saw. But I would move up Mikey on the list, so maybe move Mikey to the 8 because he played some good ball.
Absolutely.
The interceptions against Detroit, we need a second corner. But like you said, when Marshawn gets healthy, he's gonna be a different player. And the only thing that Mikey lacks is just size, in my opinion. When he's 5'8", he's my height, but he's got heart and he's still growing as a player. He's still developing. But we got to show that O line and the D line more love. So I would definitely add DP and Tyler.
Okay.
We need DP to step up because he's one of the longest tenured players and he's getting paid. So I would add him.
Good stuff. Herb.
Yeah, I would move, and there's no shade to him. I would move B Rob down
Mm-hmm.
only because you saw what Biotish did when he was out. I was in New Orleans when that game went down and he wasn't in there. Will we get up like 7 or 8 sacks?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a problem. I'm
Yep.
sorry. I need my dogs up front to be dogs. The only issue I had with the list was that part, and Mikey, with another year under his belt, him being able to go play outside, inside. Um, Hell, I think even if it was ever an emergency where you need to play safety, I mean, we're not going to see that, but I mean, he's that much of a good corner.
Mm-hmm.
I could see him doing really good with another year under his belt. I mean, you see when he did the playoffs, getting 2 picks. So I like what I see out of the list, though. I just want sub out Biotish for B Rob.
Okay, Brad Ostrowski? You want to take a shot at this, or are you good? We can move on to the next thing.
I'll be brief. I'm not going to just say anything to justify any differences in the list, but I did think about Payne. I'll just echo those sentiments. And then, obviously you're 1-2, you can't argue with that. One guy that I would say, I know this isn't a potential list, but Debo, I think, he's bringing some versatility to this team, and it'll be interesting to see how, Kingsbury kind of plays around with that. He can do a lot of things, and as we've seen, as long as he's healthy, he could be, pretty tremendous for the team.
Good. You guys see my guy right here is a fantasy football guy. He knows his stuff. So yeah. So we'll do the next one, and then after this, I have another poll that's gonna come up for you guys. But yeah, let's talk about the redoing the order, okay, of last year's rookie quarterback class. I've been on record, and I'm gonna stay to this. I think that this rookie class from last year has potential to rival the great classes ever. And I legitimately mean that. Like, these guys they showed you that they're playing young. They're not having to wait 3-4 years to hit the field. Michael Penix probably should have played a lot earlier last year. So you think about all these quarterbacks and all the great stuff that they did. More importantly, pretty much we're like in playoff mode. Atlanta, if it weren't for Washington, they probably would have been in the playoffs last year. So you think of that. So now we'll do this. We'll start with Brad Ostrowski. Where would you redo this order? And I think we're looking at like 5 quarterbacks, because JJ McCarthy didn't play, so we're not putting him above anyone if he hasn't hit the field yet. So we're talking about the 4 to 5 that played.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough question. I would say you have.
I don't think it's tough for most of the guys in this room.
Oh,
I think they know who's won.
I'm not gonna ruffle feathers here. I'm aligned that Jaden's won. All right, I'll just get that out.
Okay, that's what they needed to hear first.
Yeah. Whew. All right, we're safe. But it is a matter of the system, right?
Sure.
And so, like, if as you were asking the initial question around Caleb and buyer's remorse type of thing, like, what if the Bears took Jaden, and Caleb dropped to 2? Like, I think we'd be having a completely different conversation on things. But that's not the question right now. So I would say it's Daniels. I'm sticking with my guy, Caleb, 2, and then May 3. So I think the top 3 are the same, just a flip between 1 and 2. I think Nix jumps up. He had some great success with Sean Payton out in Denver. I think it's Penix, and then JJ's TBD.
Okay. All right. So I will ask you just real quick. You weren't sold on Bo Nix to be that number, because some people were yelling, "Oh, he should be, get legit consideration for Rookie of the Year," and I'm just like, stop it. So it sounds like you saw some of the limitations yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think he exceeded the expectations of me and probably many. I think he's got some great weapons around him. I'd like to see what he does this year and beyond. I'm not 100% convinced, but I think, your sentiments around this draft class being, potentially one of the better ones in the history of the NFL, I think is very aligned. I mean, I think there's a lot of talent with those 5 names that we just talked about.
Okay, good stuff. See, that's why I brought him on. You know, y'all, I see you guys shaking your head like, okay, you got something. This is good. All right, so we're gonna go in reverse order here. So we're gonna start back with Eric now. So you're up. What you think?
Okay, yeah. I mean, I was to state the obvious. JD5 number one. I don't think anybody in that class last year was a force multiplier like JD5. So, um, yeah, definitely number one. I'd say I'd probably put Nick at two
Okay.
because I mean, yeah, he's got a great offensive mind in Sean Payton, but Nick's had a hell of a season last year. Like he really did. Like he had some stats better than JD5. I know everything ain't just based off stats, but the kid had a really good season. I can't take that away from him. I put Caleb third, Bo Nix fourth, and then Drake May fifth. That would be my order.
Okay. All right. So let's do this, guys. Like, I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to talk in there, but let's try to keep it to like 25 seconds. Do you guys need me to hold this or you good?
I'm good.
All right. You guys are good. So, all right. So, Jay, you're up.
I think this is a really easy conversation, but I do want to, say something at the end. Usually Jaden first, Bo second, Caleb third, Drake May fourth, and
Penix.
Nick. Oh yeah, Nick. I'm sorry, Penix. I think he's easily going to be the fifth one, but I think this coming year he's going to surprise a lot of people.
Absolutely.
They have a winnable division. He's got weapons. We saw him almost sneak up on us, and in the game, surprise us. So I think he's going to have an awesome season next year.
Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. That's how he called himself. So that's what I'm saying. Let's keep this at that 25. Herb, you're up.
Okay, so I'm going, of course, JD, Nix, Caleb, May, Penix. JD, because obviously his star. Nix, I think he's going to be better in the situation in year two. Caleb, he will get better in year two, but we still need to see him stop playing hero ball. May, I think is going to come together. I would have put Penix above May, but the only reason why is because Penix didn't come into the end of the year.
Okay. All right. Fair. All right. Zell, you're up.
All right, real quick, I got JD5, Nix, Caleb, Drake May, Penix, and JJ McCarthy. But I will say real quick, this is very hard because we only got 1 year of data, and it's still so hard to say what their career is going to be. So that's
okay,
all I got.
Good. So remember, this is just if the draft was tomorrow and it was last year's rookie class, where would they be ranked based off of what you saw? So that kind of should help you. Okay, DJ, you're up.
This is Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix. I'll take Drake May after that, Caleb, and then Michael Penix.
Okay. All right, Tony.
Okay. This is hard, man. But it's Jaden at number one for all the right reasons. I'm going to put Caleb number two because of his overall talent level and his upside is the most out of all them guys, I think. Drake May for third for a lot of the same reasons, like his upside and talent level. I'm going to put Penix next because I believe he showed me a lot in that Atlanta game, man. Like he's got it. He's got that grit and determination to lead his team. Bo Nix next. Yeah, man.
Okay, so you have Bo at 5. Okay.
Yeah, I do, man. He landed in the right situation.
They had a hell of a defense.
Show me a little more.
Yeah, that defense
he landed
carried
in a good
Denver.
situation.
Yeah, they did. All right, so Darian, you're up.
Yes, sir. I would go Jaden number one, of course. Bo Nix right after that. Caleb Williams 3. Drake May 4th. Michael Penix 5th. But this list is a true example of how situationally you got to get into the right spot. And you can see with each one of those careers last year that it's all dependent upon where you go in the draft will depend upon how well you do. Got a couple resets in there for this year. And I think all those guys will have a great sophomore season as well.
Okay. All right. Brad Jones, you're up.
I'll go 5-1. I got Williams at 5, May at 4, Penix at 3. My man showed primetime game, big game. He didn't get rattled at all.
No,
not at all.
He looked good.
I got Knicks at 2, and you already know. Look behind me at number 1. You know what I'm saying? And I do think, not to go over, but I don't think it would have been the same if if Caleb would have came to us, because I think what sets them apart is Jaden's maturity and his poise.
Yeah.
My man got ice in his veins, dude. Ice in his veins.
Yeah, word.
Unbothered.
Very good point. Alfonso, you're up.
Yeah, kind of similar to everybody else. Jaden, Knicks. I think I would have to put Penix at third as well. He showed me a lot in that playoff game. That game to determine you're going to the playoff. He did show me a lot. And then I would have Bo Nix right after that. And who's the other guy?
Drake May or JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, Drake May.
Okay. All right. Kelvin, you're up. You got your mute. There you go. All right.
All right. Of course, Jaden Daniels, he set the bar. I got Penix as number 2. Just those few games he played and plus the playoff. It's like, man, I don't know. It's like he's gonna get some great.
He looked different. He did.
Different. I was scared for us for a hot second. All these quarterbacks are going to do well. I agree with you, Lake, that this class of quarterbacks, all 5 of them, has a chance to rival, previous big time quarterback drafts. At number 3, I got Knicks. He had a perfect system. I got Drake and Caleb honestly interchanging at 4 and 5. But in respect to again, all of them going to have a better, greater season. But in respect to Knicks, his defense carried them. They had training wheels on the playbook. Then the second half of the season, he caught on because of all the great help around him. But I really got Penix at number 2.
All right, and I'll give you guys my list. My list is obviously Jaden at 1. I'm actually going, believe it or not, I'm going Caleb at 2. And the reason why I say that is I just think the kid was just set up for failure, and he did the best he could with what, was put out in front of him. I mean, they were just a mess. But I think the talent level is I just think that Jaden has a little bit more. I don't want to, knock Caleb and say he's not intelligent. That's not what I'm saying. I just think that Jaden is just poised beyond his years. And it's just, it's different. It really, I see it with my own eyes in practice every day. It's different. But I think Caleb, from a skill set, he might be the most talented out of all of them, for what he can do with a football in his hands. But he's got to put it together mentally upstairs, and the Bears have to do better by him. So I have him at 2. I have Michael Penix at 3. I have Drake May at 4, and I have Bo Nix at 5. Again, I'm not knocking Bo Nix, but they had a defense for the ages. I mean, that defense is going to be probably the best defense in football this coming year. They're that good. He didn't have a running game. So when I went back and watched film on Bo, they kept the training wheels on him. And it was quite apparent because in that playoff game against Buffalo, where they needed him to step out of himself and do something, not at this stage in his career. And that's where guys like, Jaden separated himself, because he put a team on his back at times, literally. Against a Super Bowl champion team and beat them too. 5 touchdowns on them. So I know we're not going to go there. We're not going to keep pushing.
Oh, we can always go there. 5 touchdowns is 5 touchdowns.
Against the Super Bowl #1 ranked defense too. I don't care if Jalen Hurts was out that game, whatever. Okay. So
the only game they lost in like 10 weeks.
Exactly. That was their last loss. They
won 10 in a row before that, and they won like whatever else after it.
Absolutely. All right. So look, I'm going to do something else here if I can remember how to do it. All right. So I'm getting ready to pull up this poll right here for you. All right. And the question of this poll is, and you guys can answer it. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to answer it, and then we can talk about it. But the question is, who is the face of the Commanders? And there's 5 options. Okay. So there's 5 options for you. Do you see that?
Yeah.
All right. So you guys have 30 seconds to figure this out. And I'll let you explain why. You have 5 choices. I put 2 non-players on here because, I mean, I think you can make an argument for one of those guys. So you guys let me know. And then if you are watching this, obviously, if you're looking at this on YouTube, Let me know your thoughts. Write me in the comments here as far as who do you feel like is the face of the Commanders. And then also, while we're doing this, remember, if you want to come on this show just like these gentlemen are today, all you have to do is email me at thelakeLewisJr.show@gmail.com. I promise you, I will get back to you. I think I have some testaments in here today that I will get back to you sooner than you probably believe. So, yeah, just keep it coming. And once I add you guys to the actual list, the actual email list, you're getting this, link every week. So you are more than welcome to come on every week to continue this and keep it going. And, as we build out, we're going to be talking a little bit more NFL stuff because I've got some announcements for things that I'm doing. Well, it won't just be Commanders. So, we're going to keep this train rolling and have fun with it, though. And I just got word from someone said that we are being innovative here. We're changing the podcast world as far as having fans be part of it. No one's doing this. So, I take pride in that, and I appreciate the fact that you guys are making this work for us. So yeah, we're gonna keep this train rolling. So does everyone have their vote in?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I'm gonna end this poll and the results. All right. So here we go. The results are. Do you guys see the results?
No.
Okay. Do you see the results now?
Okay, we see that.
Absolutely. So, it's surprising. I'm gonna be honest with you. I said in my show the other day that I still kind of think it's Terry, just from the respect aspect and the fact that he's been here the longest, endured the most. But when you have a quarterback that's a star and is one of the elite guys in the league, you kind of have to give him his flowers. So you guys voted that Jaden Daniels, 7 out of 11 of you voted for Jaden Daniels, 64%. Terry McLaurin, 9%. 1 voted for him. I didn't vote, so I'm just letting y'all know that. Terry McLaurin got 1 vote. Bobby Wagner, no votes. And I do want to ask you guys, real quick, why no votes for Bobby Wagner? I mean, do you guys not feel like his professionalism, the fact that he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, he's a Super Bowl champion, you don't feel like that rubbed off on that team last year?
Absolutely. He just ain't
He's too old. It's like, no, I'm joking.
Bobby had a big year for us, but he only been here 1 year. Like if he was here like 5 years or so and did that, that'd be different. But just 1 year.
I mean, Jaden was only here 1 year.
But it's okay.
Darian, I love that answer. Jaden was a rookie only here for 1 year.
Right. I'm only gonna say this because I look at this as like, for those of you who watch like the Power Rangers and stuff, Bobby Wagner is the abdomen or the heart of the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
Terry is the arm, the right arm, because he always giving the punch. Peters is he's the legs. He gets this whole entire thing running. We all know JD is the face.
Okay.
Who's the 5 greatest rappers of all time? Dylon, and Dylon. It's all it's Jaden.
I mean, Jaden is going to be the face of the team as far as like the world is concerned, right? Yeah. The NFL is going to put him out there, man, and he is our guy for sure. But man, for me as a fan of this team, and I'm 48 years old and I love my team, I got to put Terry in there, man, because he's been like Lake said, he's been here the longest. He's fought through all the BS,
So Tony, you were the one that voted for Terry then.
Oh, obviously, yes.
Okay. All right. So let's do that. Let's not just come on here and do it. Let's put it out there. So Kelvin, who did you vote for?
Well, firstly, I voted for Jaden Daniels, and the reason why he separates himself, going on a previous question from Caleb Williams, is definitely, I agree with you, like his decision making, and the reason why I believe his decision making is so superior in comparison is like he has great emotional intelligence. He has a great control over his emotions. Like, so when it's those pressure times, like he is able to calmly see the details and make the best decision. Whereas, Caleb have, in my opinion, shown that. But I chose Jaden Daniels as the face of the franchise, respectfully to the other, top lieutenants, if you will, Terry McLaurin, Bobby Wagner. But certainly, even though he's a rookie, He's the quarterback, and he set a bar that no one literally has ever done before. He's the general. That's JD5. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay, I like that.
Yes,
I
sir.
like that. All right, Alfonso, who would you vote for?
Listen, JD's my man, but I gotta be honest here.
You voted for Adam Peters, didn't you?
I did.
I knew it.
I'm gonna tell you why.
That's fair, though. That's fair.
Yeah.
I
Very.
watched Adam Peters. He came from Denver, won a Super Bowl ring. He built those 49ers teams. If you put JD on any one of those 49ers teams, they winning rings. So in my mind, we got a mastermind putting this thing together. So I have to give him props. And I know JD is going to, he's going to be the one that everybody is going to give the glamour to. But in my opinion, Adam Peters is putting this thing together. So I got to give him some credit.
All right, Brad Jones. I'm curious now. Brad Jones, what you got?
I voted for Peters. I say all structures.
I knew it.
All structures have a solid foundation.
Right.
And when we hired him, he gave us instant credibility. Mm-hmm. Everybody thought that. He put us right on the top. Obviously, come on, man. My man 5. But I think Peters is the one orchestrating everything. Peters for me.
Okay. All right, Darian.
Hey, I got a question. Who was the Patriots GM when they was winning Super Bowls?
Scott Pioli.
Okay. All right. One person know the answer. Man, listen, Jaden Daniels is the face of this franchise because when we're winning Super Bowls, while they will mention Adam Peters as a great person to help build it, JD5 is going to be on the cover of every magazine, be on every billboard, every commercial, every broadcast for the game. They're going to be interviewing him every week. Jaden Daniels is the face of the franchise, and it's not close. It's not close.
Okay,
in my opinion.
So Tony, we already got your answer. DJ.
Y'all, that was a nice answer. It was cute. Look, man, it's Dan Quinn, and you can.
I was wondering who was the person that picked Dan Quinn because I probably, if I did have a pick, I was leaning towards Dan. I was
close to that too.
You can have a general, and that's fine. And JD is that. You can have a guy who is kind of the guy who puts everything together. Sure, but you have to have one commander in chief, and that is Dan Quinn. Without this, none of this happens. You can have Adam Peters and have Riverboat, and it'd be the same Riverboat that we've been seeing since we've been watching this team for the past 20 years.
Out of paddle.
Don't mention him, DJ. Don't mention him.
Without Dan Quinn, none of this stuff that we see in the character building, the
culture,
the way the culture is, does not happen. If you don't have that culture, you can have a whole bunch of all-stars all you want. You guys have seen it over the 20 years of them putting together look like great rosters from the outside and can't get nothing to play together. It all starts with Dan Quinn.
Good point, DJ. Very good point. I'm gonna have to start getting somewhere. I got a little bell on some of y'all comments. This is good, man. All right, so Zell, what you got?
Man, it's a quarterback league. I mean, what are we talking about here? We're talking about the face of the league. When people think of the team, they think of the best player, and that's Jaden Daniels. But I will say this real quick though. Lake, I remember you was talking about this last year. And when the Ben Johnson whole thing, was a thing, and how Ben Johnson might have wanted Drake May, and AP was like, nah, I got my guy in JD5. So AP knew who he wanted before, the draft even came about. Mm-hmm. So without AP, we might not even have Jaden. So he's second for me, but I got Jaden. That's the face.
Good point. Okay, Eric?
Yeah, for me, some questions, you don't even have to overthink it. The other answers are good, Dan Quinn, AP, all that. But JD5, like the gentleman just spoke and said, it's a quarterback league. When you got a superstar quarterback like Jaden, when people think of the Commanders, JD5. That's why I chose JD5.
Okay, and then Brad Ostrowski.
Yeah, similar QB1. I think the face is about the future. And so if you think about like the next decade, contract willing, he'll be here and, he'll be the face for a long time because of the success he's had. But if I think about it from a Bears perspective, Caleb's probably the face and he hasn't been successful. So I really think the position's a factor.
He will be though. He will be. I truly believe they're going to be butting heads down the road. Okay. Jay, what you got?
I'm gonna say this real quick. Jade is the face, AP is the brain, DQ is the eyes, and Terry is the heart. Like
Okay. Okay.
I think about it like that, but all the options that you say, and I don't know what to say about Wagner, but like we needed him, we appreciate him, we love him. He's a made man in DC, but he's not Jaden the face because Jaden is the feature. You know, like he's the face, like you like he's you know he's us.
You know what, and that's a great answer, Jay. You know what
You know.
is really exciting for me when I have you guys on is, and I said this before, with all due respect, I couldn't pay you guys to come on over the past few years. Nobody wanted to be part of this. It was a dumpster fire. It really was. And it was, you know, people see you and like, oh man, I saw you on television, blah, blah, blah. Man, it must be hard covering that. And now it's like
You can't get
people
rid
are
of us.
ready to go to war for the Commanders. Like if you say something disrespectful, it's kind of like how it was back in the day with the Redskins.
Yeah.
People are back now. And I asked the question, who's the guy that got them back to where you have your chest out? It's Jaden. It is. It is. I mean, you feel good about Adam because you got, competent, an adult in the room that knows what he's doing. You feel good about Dan because he speaks to us like men. Literally, he speaks to you by your first name, and he never tries to come across that he's the smartest person in the room. Never is that his personality. It's not. So again, right before you guys came on, I had a good friend of mine, DJ knows, Candi Waller came on with me, and we were just talking about how Dan was fist pumping her in Indianapolis and Adam was hugging me. Literally, that doesn't happen. So to be able
What
to,
want to happen with the Snyder organization?
yeah, it just didn't happen. They wouldn't even speak to me, literally. But I'm talking about Adam coming through the media to give me a hug in front of everybody. That's what I'm talking about when you talk about faces. Those are the people that they're not ashamed to show their face for what they represent. So the players are going to be all in line with that and things like that. So I wanted to throw this question out there to stump y'all because we have fun with this show. I look forward to this every Friday, but I want to make it where you're thinking, because I've had so many people tell me this show isn't what they were expecting. And I'm like, well, what were you expecting? And they were like, oh, they were expecting for people to be yelling and hollering. And so I'm like, nah, we don't need to do all that. Like, everybody can say what they have to say, but we can say it in a respectful manner. But you guys are showing your passion and you show that you know what you're doing. Look at Brad Ostrowski. He's in here today. He's not backing off the fact that he's a Bears fan because nobody's killing him for being a Bears fan. I respect it. If you, like I said, if you're from a town and you cheer for that team through thick and thin, I respect you more than if you just become a bandwagon fan real soon. And unfortunately, I kind of think the Commanders are getting ready to be in that realm because there are going to be people that wanted nothing to do with this outfit that because of who? Jaden. That face.
Bandwagon is coming.
I will say we had a lot of dormant fans too. That was just by the wayside because we've been so bad. But they finally coming back to the to the.
Hey, Brad, it's not too late to jump on the bandwagon.
Did you want to say something, Kelvin? Kelvin raised his hand. I like that feature. If y'all want to say so, yeah, that's cool. What you got? What you got?
Yeah, my bad. I was using the feature instead of just, hopping in. But no, yeah, man, I think Jaden definitely is the future. Kind of going back to your previous question, listening to everyone's feedback made me want to, I guess, sharpen my answer. Much respect to Adam Peters. He's like Geppetto. He's making a wise decision. I honestly see him like Tommy off Power. I see Dan Quinn.
That's my show.
I'm just saying, Adam Peters is him for real.
Mm-hmm.
Respectfully, Dan Quinn. I mean, you got different star players from other teams, not just the Cowboys. Speaking so highly of him, and he's the one that created this culture and got all these mixtures of new, old in 1 year to make it happen. But ultimately, Jaden Daniels, they can put all the pieces around him. Like, I think even in the worst situations, Jaden Daniels is going to shine. So I definitely had him as the top numeral face of the Commanders. I just wanted to say that.
Okay. All right. So this was a question that my better half came up with, and she put together. She's always helping, so I can't go wrong. But she put together this question, which I'm not seeing on here. But basically, the question was, what do you this pertains to DJ for sure, and Zell's got his show, and Darian's got his show. I mean, it pertains to, the question was, what do you expect from a NFL journalist that you follow? And she wanted to know because she's amazed at you guys. Like, she literally is like, how are you getting these guys on here and everybody's cool getting along? And I'm like, because that's the aura that we all give off on each other. We just, we're grown men here, So she wanted to get that answer from you guys. So that's her question to you. Like, what is it that you expect from a journalist that you follow? Like, what is it that you want from them?
I think just going forward, now that the team is winning, I just think just call it right down the middle, man. Like, tell it like it is. I think a lot of previous years we've been having the wool pulled over our eyes of what's actually going on behind the scenes because it was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
So now that I believe that it's gonna go well and they're actually running the organization right, you can actually just report what you see, and it's calling it right down the middle of what's actually going on, and it's not sugarcoating anything. It's not trying to create something that's not there. It's just calling it straight down the middle.
Good point. Very good point. Very good point. Alfonso, what you got?
I agree. I mean, just the facts, man. We want the truth. We don't want you to like try to sell us no wolf ticket or anything. We just want to be able to dissect what we see and get the truth from you. And if you're going to be honest in that and giving the truth, everybody has an opinion, but when we see it, we know that we can receive it. So that's kind of what we look for when we see you guys.
All right, Tony.
Yeah, man. Like with the last organization, man, there was a lot of drama, and I'm thankful now that the journalists can report football things instead of drama things. You know what I mean?
Got that
So
right.
like as long as we got honesty from our reporters and media, I mean, that's really all you can ask for, man. Keep it real with what's going on with the team, man. We respect that.
Okay. All right, Zell.
Same answer from everybody else. I will say this though. I don't know if that this organization now makes you guys' job easy or harder, because stuff isn't getting leaked anymore. There's not a lot of rumors going around when news comes out. It feels like everyone's finding out at the same time, including a lot of the journalists. So, it leaves you in a position to just, report, as like others said, what you see and what's going on, not like what you're hearing, pretty much.
See, I think just to be able to answer that, I think what happens now is that the truth was always there. Unfortunately, when you have disarray and chaos in the building and the way things were being handled, unfortunately, and DJ, we talk about this all the time, you have some rogue journalists who will latch onto that side and not the right side. And unfortunately, people paid attention to that over there when we were over here trying to tell you really what was going on. And I think now, fortunately, and I'm just speaking for myself, the GM and the coach see what I do, and there's a respect level there. And, now I can do my job and tell you the truth. Like the whole, we talked about this, I came out and talked about that, no one turned down no job here. The job was not given to them. Years ago, that wouldn't have been the situation. It would have been, it would have been made to make this organization look bad. So now the truth will come to light. And like I tell people all the time, if you didn't think that I knew what I was talking about, I wouldn't have gotten a bear hug from that man in Indianapolis. So just saying. So who else we got? Brad Jones, what you got, man?
Just be authentic, right? Just be true blue, man. None of us need somebody just excited to be behind the camera and just blowing smoke. Just be authentic.
Yeah.
Just be authentic and talk to me. And like I said, y'all know I'm from Detroit. So all I hear is Detroit stuff. I want to hear some down home Washington. Give me the goods, man. Give me the real.
Okay. All right. Anybody else can chime in here, and I'm taking all this to heart too, because I'm not a finished product by no means. And I want to just see what can I do to get better, for you guys.
I mean, I'm not either, but I'm gonna say it like this, and I'm gonna be very strong about it. See, right now, the ones who are still fanboying it up are getting exposed. Okay. And really, they were exposed, but see, they were able to lure the fans in with all their fanboy negativity and breeding up all this false narrative because things were so bad around it. But you can see that these folks now are getting exposed. And stop being fanboys. This is about us reporting the news and reporting what's true to the fans and giving them a good outlook about what's going on. Leave your personal feelings out of it and stop creating false narratives. You still see it here. We still see some folks still doing this late. Stop creating these false narratives that don't exist. That organization is no longer here. And if you can't get that soon, those folks will not be in the building.
That's a fact.
I just to piggyback off DJ. I mean, number one, as a journalist, you got to have integrity. That you have to have it. Number two, you don't have an agenda. Like DJ was saying, like, I mean, people always want to go ahead and try to make a name for this. So if you talk about the facts, which is the third part, and just keep it just strictly off of that, and then give your opinion, and not trying to be like, oh, you trying to be the next big thing. We're gonna listen to you. Like, I listen to you just off of just the humble.
I appreciate it.
And I also got it off of Rio. Right. I got Candi off of just because she was doing her Bowie TV. I just went off because you wasn't trying to make a name for you. You just spitting the facts.
Real recognize real, man.
Yeah. Exactly.
Real recognize real.
Yeah. And to chime in, like Big Herb said, like, I discovered you on Real Robinson's channel, and then I discovered your content. I was like, well, this is just you. Like, you're just authentic. Even Kill, you just seem very relatable. And I'm just thankful to have this opportunity to be here with everybody today as a fan and as someone that wants to tap into, what everyone is doing with our team, and just maybe with the entrepreneurship with the team, just being inspired. So I'm inspired by all you guys. So, thank you. Like, you doing something special.
Well, I appreciate
to be you.
Yeah, I mean, and my theory on this is, from my career doing all this stuff, and I've got some really big stuff that's getting ready to happen, and some of you already know. I wouldn't be in this situation if I didn't have fans, if I didn't have supporters. And I don't really consider people who support me fans. You guys are family. So that's the vibe. That's how we do this. But my thing is, I can't lie about what I see, because I still got to go in that locker room and face people. You go back to rookie minicamp last year. I keep bringing this up. I said, I just saw something I've never seen. And that was last year was my 15th year covering that team at that time, going into rookie minicamp. I had never seen a quarterback like that. And trust me, I've seen a lot of quarterbacks in DC to the tune of 30 plus. Okay. I never saw with my eyes what I saw in Jayden Daniels. And I said that the first day. Pretty much halfway through the season, I still have people telling me, stop hyping the kid up. He's a rookie. Stop hyping him up. Let him go through the struggles because it's going to fall off eventually. And I'm like, nah, y'all don't understand. This is different. Well, a lot of the reasons why it didn't fall apart was because he has the right structure in the building. He had the right temperament. He had the right veterans like a Zach Ertz, a Bobby Wagner, Terry McLaurin. He had the right people around him. And that goes back to Adam Peters. That goes back to Dan Quinn. It goes back to the owner. I mean, the owner hired the right people to run the outfit. We hadn't seen that before. And
he got out the way.
Right. Still is out the way. Just
didn't make it about itself.
Absolutely. So these are all the things. And I know, Brad Ostrowski, you're hearing this and you're probably saying to yourself, damn, Like, I mean, we can say these things now because for years, I mean years, it was always in my mind, being out on that practice field, traveling with that team, it was always like, damn, why can't I get lucky? Why can't I, cover a team that's going to the Super Bowl? And you guys know the story. Back in, what was it? The year the Ravens won the Super Bowl, it was
2012.
2012. I had the chance. I was covering the Ravens, and Chad Still, the guy that runs that thing over there, said, you can't do two. You can't cover us and them, because at that time, you do understand Bashotti and all them, they hated the Redskins, everything about them, because of the guy that owned the Redskins. So I'm from DC. I had just come up here from Orlando, Florida. I'm from DC, and I'm like, man, you making me choose. There's not many things to choose from. I'm choosing Washington. Ravens went on to win the Super Bowl that year. And I'm like, my one chance, because before the NFL, I was covering the NBA, and it was the Wizards. So you already know it's just been bad times. So
you gotta stay down.
Exactly. So to be able to see this grow over the course of a year,
loyalty.
and I can say this to Brad, our guest, Brad Ostrowski, it's not, Brad, a 1 year wonder, because it wasn't like one player carried them and, through bad coaching and, bad teammates. It was nothing like that. It was like the perfect storm came together from a coaching, the compatibility, the culture in the locker room. Everything is in play now for them to really go on a run here, and have a Philadelphia type of approach to this thing every year where they're trying to win. And I'm curious to see how this goes. I know I got long-winded on the soapbox here, but I'm curious to see who they draft. I'm curious to see how it's going to be this year in rookie mini camp and training camp. I'm curious because I think that the air in the building now is we let one get away from us. That's the air that I'm getting. Like, we didn't give our best effort in that NFC Championship game. So we need to run this thing back. And that's where we are. So we've done this for an hour, 16 minutes. I promised you guys we go over a little bit. The last couple of weeks with some of you guys, I've been on here for like an hour and a half. I'm not going to hold you on that today. So we could do this for like another 5 and then we'll wrap it up. But, for the first time guys on here, what do you think? Did you have a good time today?
Yeah.
Definitely.
See me again.
Awesome.
See me again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely be back.
All right. So one of the things that I want to do is I want to see, like, on a Friday where I have like too many people on here, where it's like 30, 40 people on here. I think I can put up to 49 people. Don't really want that, but I'm just saying, it'd be pretty cool. But yeah, man, this is your show. And I want you guys to know that on Fridays, you guys are more than welcome at any time to come on here, tell your friends about it. If they want to come on, I think we've established a good culture ourselves. Don't you agree?
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Definitely. And just to piggyback real quick off the culture thing, man, we heard Riverboat Ron talk all them years about building a culture. We waited, and this culture never came to fruition. And to just see Dan Quinn and Adam Peters and the owner come in here and get this culture set within like a year.
Yeah.
It's like simply amazing, and shows what really can be done when you got the right pieces in place. You know what I'm saying? Like, all us old Skins fans, we deserve this so much.
Absolutely.
And
For
we really
sure.
deserve this.
For
You
sure.
know, you deserve it, Lake. You were reporting on all them sorry teams and all that dysfunction all the years. Like,
if
we
you
all
only knew the
deserve
stuff
this,
that I
man.
saw, if you only knew it, I could tell you. Somebody said, man, you should write a book. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going there because I got other
I'll buy
stuff
it.
going on with the league. And I'm not doing that. But I will say this. It was about as bad an outfit that I have ever in my life in any workforce environment been a part of. It was that bad. And you knew it was bad. The irony is they knew it was that bad too and didn't care to fix it.
But
So
like to Eric's point, you just see how much lip service that they were giving us. And to go from a 4-year outfit to literally a 1-year turnaround, it just really goes to show, like, bro, y'all was welling the whole time. Like, nobody was serious about it.
And they kept saying every year it was going to take another 3 years. It's going to take another 3 years. And I'm like,
build coaching with Dan Snyder as the owner. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. 100%.
Nobody was serious about change, and all it took was change of ownership, and from top to bottom, it changed. We got good. We got better on the field. The media room is better. The practice facility is better. The fans have come back. Everybody's on board. You got 3 states fighting to give us a stadium. Like, come on, bro. Like, it's changed literally in 1 year. And the fact that they was just blowing smoke for 4 years about culture, and to see it happen in 1 year, it's an amazing feat. And it goes to show other fan bases. And even our guests here, man.
I think Chicago is getting
1
ready
year.
Chicago should take a leap this year. I truly believe that. Like, I'm going to say it right now on record. I think the Bears have a legit chance to win the NFC North this year. I truly believe that.
I'll second that, man.
Absolutely. So,
but I'm gonna tell you, being from Detroit, I don't think it's gonna happen because the Detroit players are so mad at Ben Johnson for leaving that job and getting a job in the same division. And the talk was he took interviews.
That was tough.
He took interviews in between the time we played them, because I'm hearing it all. They give me all kind of excuses why we beat them, right? So eventually he will, but I don't think next year. I think they're going to come out with a vengeance, especially when they play them.
Brad Ostrowski, what would you say your Bears record-wise next year look like to you?
Talk your talk,
I know they haven't had the draft, but
yeah. I mean, they've done a lot of good offseason work. I'm an optimist. I mean, I've been a Bears fan and a Cubs fan my entire life, so I mean, I have to be. I could see them winning 9 or 10 games and winning the division for sure. I think the Lions are going to be tough, but they did lose their D coordinator too, and so you lost, 2 heads to that coaching staff. It's going to be a factor, but they have some studs. We'll see what happens, but I appreciate the optimism that you all are giving too. I mean, we didn't get new ownership, but we do have, I think, a solid GM, new coach, and their focus seems to be in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, amazing what a GM can do, man. It's amazing what a GM can do. And again, speaking not only from us here in Detroit, they were terrible for a long time. They had a good quarterback in Matthew Stafford and never put nothing around him, especially once Calvin Johnson left. They got Brad Holmes in there. And my man, he's been drafting right. Look at us. And then Chicago, you get it right. You get a GM in there, it'll take you a long way. Long way.
That's all they knew. Chicago has to come out the gate fast this year. If you come out and reel off a couple wins, and maybe after the first quarter of the season, you're no worse than 500 or 2-2, but maybe a 3-1. Now you're talking, because we all know Caleb has the talent, like we talked about earlier. And now you have a coach that has an offensive mind. You just have to see how those two pair, and we have to see how it works. They were saying the same thing about Cliff and Jaden. How are they gonna mesh? But if it works, I think Chicago is going to be one of those teams on the come up this year that definitely, to me, are no worse than a wild card team right now.
Yeah. And they got a nasty defense.
I will say this though: if he doesn't get in his own way,
right,
guys are going to be just right, because you seen what he tried to do against us. He's like, oh, I got a stud at a running back and going up against the 32nd ranked defense. But you know what? Let's go ahead and have a wide receiver pass. What? Yeah. Like, come on. Like, don't get in your own way. Just play the game, how you play to your strengths, and actually put this thing together the right way.
Yeah, Detroit went from the hunted. They went from the hunter to the hunted. They walked in Ford Field thinking they was going to run over us. And our number 5, our rookie outplayed their vet, basically. That's what it is. They got big-headed, and they thought they was going to steamroll us, and we didn't budge. And we popped them, and I love it, because every time people come in my basement, they see my basement, and I laugh all the time.
You sent me a video of that basement. That thing is.
I saw it.
It looks nice, man. You did a good job with that, for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Now you got to get a replica Lombardi trophy up in there, man.
I just bought off NFL Shop a 20 by 24 picture when Terry McLaurin's running that touchdown on that screen pass he caught,
Mm-hmm.
and he pushing off my man, I'm gonna put it as soon as every Detroit fan, as soon as they come in my basement, they gonna see it. They gonna turn and go right back home. I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna love it.
So you know what's crazy is that I think we played them again this year. So
We do. It's at home. It's at home.
So, and get Chicago too. So
I was about to say, man, if you want the Bears to start fast, they better don't play us first.
Yeah, Tony keeps saying that. He's like he's thinking that that's gonna happen. It's gonna be interesting. Like I told y'all before, I gotta get oh my gosh, I'm supposed to get my my passport stuff squared away because I got a feeling we're gonna be in Spain, but that's a whole nother story. So
again, if you need some assistance trying to go out there, get your boy up. I mean,
I'll tote your luggage, man. I'll tote your luggage for you and all that.
I got my passport already, baby. So I mean,
Lake, man, real talk,
Hold on,
Lake.
fellas.
Oh, my bad, Lake. Real talk. I think about a month ago on this very show, I mentioned to you that you were going to be a trendsetter because having your fans on it, and I believe everybody going to start doing exactly what you're doing, bro. For real. Salute you, man.
Well, I hope they don't, man, because I'm tired of people taking my ideas.
Trademark.
They've been doing it for years. You know it. You know it too. Late.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, man, I did that. But it's flattery. But at the end of the day, I don't care about that. I care about you guys and you coming on. So again, my friends, I appreciate you coming on. And just before we wrap up, I wanted to thank Candi Waller for coming on earlier. And then also just to give you some quick announcements. And DJ, you're going to be back in the fold as well. But, I'm on with heavy.com as their insider, doing some stuff for them, helping them out with some Dolphins, some Bengals, some all kinds of stuff going on there. And then next week will be a really big announcement, 2 big announcements, one from a network, and then the second one from a station in DC that will be carrying this. So you guys will be getting some time on there as well. So yeah, man, just appreciate everybody and all the support and, all the well wishes. So we're going to keep doing this thing and having fun along the lines. And these games this year are going to be meaningful. So next time we bring Brad Ostrowski on with us, it might not be so pleasant. So, yeah, but I appreciate you guys, man. Everybody have a great weekend. And hopefully I'll see y'all again next Friday. Okay.
Likewise.
Stay safe, brothers.
All right. Take care. All right. What a phenomenal show we had today, and just appreciative of all the fans from all over the country. They were scattered all over the place, and they took the time to come on the show today, and appreciate them. Most of them want to keep coming back on. So once again, you too can come on to the program. All you have to do is email us again at thelakeLewisJr.show@gmail.com, and someone will get back to you and get you the link over. So perhaps next Friday, if you want to come on, just email us at that email address. I want to thank Candi Waller for coming on earlier, the first segment of today's show. Remember, she does a great job covering the Washington Commanders on the beat, and you can follow her over at Candi Waller. She's the president of Bowie Television in nearby Maryland. So appreciate her for coming on as well. Had a good laugh with her a couple times there. So next week, I've got 2 other female reporters who do just a phenomenal job. My good friend, they're all family to me. My little sis, I call her too. Natalie Spalla, who's an anchor for WJLA ABC Television in DC. She'll be joining us on Monday. And then on Tuesday, my auntie, Donna Hopkins, does a great job covering the Commanders as well on the beat. She will be joining us on Tuesday from Tony McGee's Sports Plus. So, man, we've got some good stuff going on, and I appreciate all the guests that are coming on. We got some players coming up soon. So we're going to keep this thing rolling. And it's thanks to you out there. If you're watching us on YouTube or if you're listening to us on one of the podcast carriers, I greatly appreciate all your time and energy that you're giving me. So we'll keep this thing rolling, and we'll be back next week. So in the meantime, have a great weekend and be safe out there.